We have to end it on baseball because this happens to be, I think, one of the greatest loves of our friend Rich Lowry here, Charlie. I hear him talk about it all the time. He does like preseason openers. He watches like the practices. He watches the games before anybody's there. Like the man loves baseball. And the Phillies hit a home run and the ball went into the stands and the ball landed kind of in front of this group of people, but there was a scrum to grab it. And the guy in the red shirt, this dad, ran over. He got it. He goes back and gives it to his kid. An angry Karen lady comes over, starts yelling at him, and you can hear her yelling here. Let's play this out.
Sometimes you need that reset. Oh.
And Bader just unloads on this one. Deep left field, and that one is gone as Bader goes back-to-back with Brandon. What a long home run to left for Harrison Bader. It's his 15th of the year. And his third since joining the Phillies. It's 5-1.
All right. By now, we've all seen the video of the confrontation at a Phillies game last week over a home run ball. Now we are hearing from the family at the center of it. Drew Feltwell came up with that baseball after a scrum in the crowd, and he gave it to his son, Lincoln. But a woman confronted Drew, grabbing his arm, demanding the ball. And told our Christian Benavidez that giving up the ball was worth much more than the souvenir.
It was meant to be a celebration. The Feltwell family sat in the outfield, hoping to field a home run ball for Lincoln's 10th birthday.
I was hoping to put it in his glove and maybe he'd be on the big TV. Watching the game could see it up there and, oh, I saw you, Lincoln. You know, that was the big plan.
The plan was coming true. A shot to left field, seats away from the family.
And that one is gone.
Drew Feltwell grabbed it and handed it to his grinning son. A perfect moment until a woman in their section came over.
So we brought you a cool little goodie bag.
I don't mind that she grabbed me and was standing there, but she was leaning over me as I was leaning back and just screaming in my face, like vulgar curse words in front of my kids.
What was her argument to you?
There was no argument in the beginning, just a lot of curse words, and that's my ball.
The Phillies Karen story refuses to fade, and now it's entered a whole new phase. Because Megyn Kelly has weighed in, and her take didn't just roast the fan at the center of the scandal, it cut right into the heart of America's outrage culture. And just as that commentary dominated headlines, another wild twist broke. A trading card company is offering $5,000 for the return of the baseball, but only if the woman signs it with a written apology to the boy. Think about how far this has traveled in a single week. One home run into the stands in Miami, a kid with a glove inches away from the catch of his life, and a woman in Phillies gear snatching the ball away. The boos thundered, the camera zoomed in, and before the inning was even over, the clip was racing across TikTok and Twitter. Overnight, she was branded with a name that sticks harder than superglue: Phillies Karen. What could have been a passing moment became a spectacle. By morning, the internet had created memes, parody videos, and even starter packs mocking her. Rumors spun out of control. Claims she'd lost her job, sightings in rival team gear, even mistaken identities that dragged innocent people into the storm. A local school district had to step in to squash gossip that had nothing to do with them. Now, Kelly has brought the debate to national television. She rolled the clip, replayed the infamous "My Hand" protest, and then drove the conversation further. This wasn't just about sportsmanship, she argued. It was about how fast viral shame can wreck someone's life. and how institutions, from franchises to corporations, scramble to contain the damage. And with the $5,000 twist on top of it all, the Phillies Karen saga has transformed from a ballpark embarrassment into a national morality play, one where the price of redemption now comes with an actual dollar figure. The core of this scandal comes down to a single, unforgettable clip. Phillies outfielder Harrison Bader smacks a home run into the left field stands at Lone Depot Park. A young fan in the front row, glove raised, is ready for the moment every kid dreams of. But before he can close his hand around the ball, a woman in Phillies gear leans forward, snatches it, and clutches it like treasure. What followed was instant. The stadium groaned, boos rumbled through the broadcast, and the camera didn't miss a thing. It captured her holding the ball aloft, the stunned look on the boy's face, and the father caught in the middle. Within minutes, that clip was already racing through TikTok and Twitter feeds, repackaged with captions that needed no context. The internet had a new villain, and it gave her a name designed to sting: Phillies Karen. And once a nickname like that lands, the outcome is predictable. The memes arrived first, layering the footage with dramatic music and side-by-side comparisons to infamous fan moments. The 2003 Steve Bartman saga, the ball hog dad at Yankee Stadium. Each reference cemented the idea that this wasn't just bad luck, it was bad character. But what made this different was timing. We're in 2025, where every stadium is a studio and every fan is a camera operator. No misstep stays local anymore. Within hours, the video had gone global. Edits turned the fan into a caricature. Threads demanded her identity. And what might have been a one-day embarrassment turned into a full-blown morality play. The viral clip wasn't just a record of a ball changing hands, it became a symbol, a snapshot of entitlement, parenting under pressure, and how quickly sports nostalgia can curdle into outrage. And that's what elevated it from a minor sideshow into the kind of story national commentators like Megyn Kelly couldn't ignore. The clip was already viral, but it didn't explode into the cultural spotlight until Megyn Kelly picked it up. On her show, she didn't just replay the moment, she reframed it. Kelly made it clear this wasn't about a baseball at all. It was about rules, respect, and the way outrage culture feeds on itself. She rolled the tape, letting viewers hear the fans' angry protest, "My hand," echoing over the broadcast. The panel laughed at the absurdity, but Kelly didn't let it stay in joke territory. She pivoted hard, asking the bigger question. What does it say about us when a simple stadium scramble turns into a nationwide witch hunt?
And he gave it back. He took it out of his son's mitt and gave it to you take it from me, lady. So your verdict on who's right and who's wrong here, Rich, is what?
Oh, she's clearly in the wrong. So the basic rule is foul ball, home run, adults involved, it's a scrum, right? And it's just a fight to the finish until someone secures the ball and holds it up.
Her guests split instantly. Rich Lowry laid down the unwritten law of the bleachers. If kids are involved, adults step aside. Everyone knows it, everyone honors it, and when it's broken, the crowd will make their feelings clear. By that measure, he said, this was an open and shut case of bad sportsmanship. But Charlie Sykes countered with a different angle. He didn't excuse the fan, but he questioned the father's choice to surrender. In his words, "No way in the world does anyone take something from my kid once it's in his hands." And that tension between choosing peace or standing firm is what kept the conversation alive. Kelly let the back and forth breathe, but she sharpened the focus. The problem wasn't just one fan grabbing a ball. It was how quickly the internet elevated her into a villain, and how organizations, from the Phillies to entire school districts, were suddenly forced into the spotlight. One moment in the stands had morphed into a national debate about parenting, fairness, and mob judgment. By the time the segment wrapped, the story wasn't local anymore. It had become a cultural flashpoint. A foul ball had turned into commentary on how fast reputations can be built, or destroyed, when a camera is always rolling. Just as the debate seemed ready to fade, a twist no one expected pulled the Phillies Karen story right back into the headlines. A trading card giant, Blowout Cards, announced a reward: $5,000 for the return of the baseball. But it wasn't just about getting the ball back. There was a condition. The woman had to sign it, with an apology addressed directly to the boy who lost his chance at the catch of a lifetime. That detail flipped the conversation overnight. Suddenly, this wasn't just about a viral clip or a parenting dilemma. It was about whether redemption could be bought and whether the internet outrage machine had turned into an actual marketplace. A foul ball had become a bargaining chip, and the price tag attached wasn't sentimental. It was cold, hard cash. Fans split instantly. Some saw the offer as clever, even poetic. The ball that sparked a national controversy would return, but only with an acknowledgement that the kid was wronged. Others slammed it as pure marketing theater, accusing blowout cards of exploiting the scandal to plaster their name across headlines. Either way, the move worked. The offer made national news and poured gasoline on a fire that was already burning hot. And in the middle of it all, Drew Feltwell, the father at the center of the clip, stepped forward again.
Then it's their ball. But the other rules are, if there's a kid involved in the scrum and you're aware of it as an adult, you back off because you want the kid to get it. And if you catch a ball and it's not like, Aaron Judge's 500th career home run or something, sell for $500,000, you take the photo with it, you're happy, then you toss it to the nearest kid. Thinking because a ball landed in your vicinity, it's yours, and then going and confronting a father who got it for his kid is so outlandish.
This time, his message wasn't anger, it was caution. He pleaded with the public not to harass the woman, not to escalate things further, and to remember that a viral moment doesn't justify a witch hunt. His call for restraint stood in sharp contrast to the frenzy swirling online. But once money entered the equation, the story evolved. It wasn't just about morality anymore, it was about spectacle, PR, and whether outrage culture had its first official bounty. The baseball itself, worth maybe a few dollars as a souvenir, had become priceless because of the scandal attached to it. And with the $5,000 twist, the Phillies Karen saga crossed a line few saw coming. The internet never stops at outrage. Once the Phillies Karen clip went viral, the next phase was inevitable. People wanted a name. And in the rush to identify the woman in the stands, the mob got it wrong. The name that spread the fastest was Cheryl Richardson Wagner. Twitter threads, Reddit posts, and TikTok sleuths lined up her photos side by side with screenshots from the game, insisting she was the culprit. But there was just one problem. She wasn't even there. In fact, she was hundreds of miles away. Richardson Wagner took to Facebook to set the record straight. She declared she had nothing to do with the incident, pointing out she's a lifelong Red Sox fan and wasn't in Florida that night. She even joked that her biggest crime was cheering for Boston, not stealing foul balls. But by then, the damage had been done. Her name was already tied to the scandal, and news outlets had to pick up her denial just to stop the rumor from spiraling further. It didn't end there. A New Jersey school district was dragged into the chaos after online sleuths claimed the woman worked there. The district had to issue an official statement saying the rumors were false. An ordinary workplace, suddenly in the middle of a national scandal, forced to play defense against speculation born out of memes. Meanwhile, the actual woman in the viral clip stayed completely silent. No interviews, no statements, no attempts to reclaim her side of the story. That silence only fueled the mystery. TikTok creators claimed they'd spotted her in Mets gear. Reddit users spun stories about her going underground. With no confirmation either way, the vacuum left plenty of room for imagination and for misinformation. This is where the scandal turned darker. It wasn't about a ball anymore, it was about reputations, innocent people caught in the crossfire, and the speed at which viral shame can distort reality. A moment in the bleachers had morphed into a digital manhunt, with collateral damage mounting along the way.
This just isn't done. I haven't ever seen anything like this before. Now, look, I don't think her life should be ruined over it. I don't like the sleuthing to try to identify her and get her fired from her job or whatever. No one's found her yet. She's probably walking around Philadelphia in Mets paraphernalia right now to maintain her deep cover. But her conduct was terrible and inexcusable.
The Phillies organization could have stayed silent and let the scandal fade. Instead, they made the decision to step directly into the storm. Their approach was simple: shift the narrative back to something wholesome. Harrison Bader, the player who hit the controversial home run, personally signed a bat and sent it to the young fan along with other team memorabilia. The gesture was designed to restore what had been taken, a moment of joy for the boy and his family. At first glance, it worked. Photos of the smiling child holding his new treasures circulated online, framed as the happy ending everyone wanted. But just as quickly, the backlash began. Critics argued that the team had caved to public pressure, turning a one-night incident into a PR campaign. Others questioned whether this was setting a dangerous precedent. Would every viral fan spat now require franchises to intervene with gifts and apologies? Commentators pointed back to history for context. The infamous 2003 Steve Bartman incident with the Cubs loomed large. Back then, the organization said nothing, leaving Bartman to endure years of harassment before finally gifting him a World Series ring in 2017. The Phillies, by contrast, jumped into action within days, a sign of how dramatically the digital era has changed the playbook. In 2025, silence isn't neutral, it's fuel for speculation. Yet the quick response didn't calm the debate, it sharpened it. Fans split into camps. One side praised the Phillies for protecting a child's memory and standing behind their supporters. The other side accused them of rewarding outrage, effectively turning viral drama into leverage against the franchise itself. By intervening, the Phillies hoped to close the book on the controversy. Instead, they made it clear that no team can ignore the pull of the internet anymore. A foul ball was no longer just about the game. It was about optics, branding, and the cost of staying on the public's good side. By this point, the Phillies Karen story wasn't about baseball at all. It had become a mirror reflecting how quickly outrage spirals in today's culture. A single foul ball turned into a referendum on parenting, sportsmanship, and public shaming, all compressed into viral clips and hashtags. At the center of it was a father's split-second decision. Some praised Drew Feltwell for de-escalating and protecting his son from a bigger scene. Others criticized him for giving in, saying the ball represented a memory no parent should surrender. That divide became the emotional engine of the debate. Was he the adult in the room, or too soft in the face of entitlement? Megyn Kelly's coverage sharpened the contrast. On her show, the panel wasn't really arguing about a baseball. They were arguing about values. Rich Lowry drew the line clearly. Once kids are involved, adults step aside. Charlie Sykes insisted that surrender was the wrong message, that parents should teach kids to stand their ground. Kelly herself pushed further, asking if the real issue was how fast the mob demands villains, regardless of the truth. Meanwhile, the internet wasn't waiting for nuance.
All right, what do we think, Charlie, of this incident? And what do we think? Some are giving the dad a hard time for giving the ball back, for taking the ball from the son and giving it to the angry Karen.
Yeah, it's just so unusual, isn't it, to find an intemperate sports fan from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
For the first time this has ever happened.
Memes mocked the fans' "My Hand" protest. Edits painted her as a comic book villain. Threads tracked her supposed identity with the zeal of an investigation, dragging innocent people along for the ride. The ball itself stopped being the prize. The outrage was the real currency. This is the reality of 2025 fandom. Every stadium is wired for spectacle, and every misstep can become a national story by the time the inning ends. The Phillies fan didn't just break an unwritten rule of etiquette. She broke into the viral economy, where mistakes are magnified and anonymity is impossible. What started as a kid's disappointment was now a cultural clash, about fairness, about parenting, and about whether we've grown too eager to turn strangers into villains. Just when it seemed the scandal had reached its peak, the final twist made it even stranger. The $5,000 reward from blowout cards shifted the focus from outrage to redemption, but with a condition attached. For the money to be paid, the woman had to return the ball and sign it with an apology addressed to the boy. What should have been a baseball souvenir was suddenly transformed into a public confession and a cash transaction. The reaction was split. Some fans argued she should take the deal, pocket the money, and move on. Others said accepting would only confirm her guilt, cementing her place as the villain the internet had already decided she was. Either way, the offer turned a one-off incident into something resembling a marketplace for contrition. Then came the most unexpected voice of all, Drew Feltwell, the father at the center of the clip. Instead of demanding more, he called for less. He asked the public to stop hunting for the woman, to stop harassing people wrongly accused, and to remember that his family had already received closure. With the signed bat from Harrison Bader and the team's memorabilia package, he said they didn't need more drama. His plea highlighted just how far the outrage had spun away from the actual people involved. Meanwhile, the woman herself stayed silent. No press conference, no interview, no social media defense. That absence left a vacuum, and the internet filled it with theories. Was she embarrassed, hiding, or simply ignoring the mob altogether? In today's digital climate, silence often fuels the fire instead of extinguishing it. So the ending isn't really an ending at all. A kid got his memento, a trading card company got headlines, and Megyn Kelly turned the saga into a cultural debate. But the so-called Phillies Karen, she remains a ghost in the story. Villain, victim, or something in between depending on who you ask. The Phillies Karen saga may have started with a baseball, but it ended as something much larger. A snapshot of how outrage, sports, and media now intersect. A single foul ball sparked boos in a stadium, then trended worldwide, then forced a major league franchise, a trading card company, and national commentators like Megyn Kelly to weigh in. That escalation shows just how little separates a fan moment from a cultural flashpoint in 2025. Baseball has always thrived on nostalgia. The crack of the bat, a kid with a glove, the magic of taking home a souvenir. But what once stayed in the stands now lives online forever. In today's environment, every foul ball comes with the risk of becoming content. Every fan with a phone becomes a broadcaster, and every awkward confrontation risks being judged by millions before the game even ends. The Phillies' decision to step in with memorabilia was telling. A gesture that, in another era, might have been quiet and private, became a public relations move, dissected as strategy rather than kindness. The $5,000 offer from Blowout Cards pushed it further, turning redemption into a transaction. Even apologies, it seems, can now come with a price tag. And at the center of it all, the woman never spoke. Her silence left a vacuum that the internet eagerly filled, with memes, rumors, and mistaken identities. Whether she chose to ignore the mob or feared stepping into the spotlight, her absence only made the scandal more enduring. Megyn Kelly's commentary crystallized what many were feeling. This wasn't about one fan or even one baseball. It was about how quickly the mob builds, how fragile reputations have become, and how outrage can feel more powerful than truth. So what's the bigger lesson? That in this era, even America's pastime isn't immune from becoming America's outrage machine. And the next time a ball flies into the stands, the real drama won't be on the field. It'll be in the feeds, where heroes and villains are made in seconds.